Hello and welcome to the fifth video in a series of videos teaching you about public health in the early modern period. If you are learning this for the first time, then this is the task that you need to complete. If you're revising this, then this is a task that I would suggest doing to help with your revision. We're going to look at local population responses during this video, and I would like you to complete this task. We're going to create a storyboard of local population responses, which is going to involve you making some notes, making a judgment, and drawing some pictures. So the first response we're going to look at is running away, and there is the information that you will add, or an example of the information that you could add, about three or four bullet points, and then you can draw a picture that helps you to remember local population responses. So for this example, running away. This technique is called dual coding, and it is a really good technique for helping you to remember information. So put in a picture with a piece of text. At the end of this video, we are then going to make a judgment about which local population response was the most effective. So in the top box, you will give it a number between 1 and 5. So that is just an example for you there. Take a moment then to pause this video and to create your storyboard. Make sure it looks something along these lines. You would need a minimum of A4 page in your book, or A3 if you have particularly large handwriting. Okay, so the first reaction of the local population was to run away. Now, fear is a natural reaction to the death of 10% of your community and the awful symptoms that are associated with the plague, but running away was probably the most common response of everyday people. Everyone knew it was a deadly disease, and most of the aldermen and churchmen stayed out of a sense of duty. So not everyone ran away. It tended to be the rich that had a house in the countryside would run away from the towns, but there were some people that stayed around. You might remember in year 8 reading the story about Agnes and in Walsham, and she struggled to find a priest to help perform the last rites with her husband. So we know that priests did run away, but that wasn't everyone. Finally then, the poor had to remain. They had nowhere else to go. They barely had anywhere else to stay, to be honest, knowing what towns and countryside houses were like. But yeah, running away is one response for local population responses to the early modern plagues. So pause this video, take a moment to create your set of notes, 3 or 4 bullet points in your storyboard, a quick picture, it doesn't have to be a work of art, and then when you're ready, move on to the next section. Okay, so your next local population response is avoiding the sick. Now this sounds like quite a good idea, but it wasn't all that it seems to be. Relationships between family and friends became under strain. Again, you might remember this from the reading about Walsham when you learnt about the Black Death in year 8. People were reluctant to take food from plague victims or attend the funeral of a friend. People look for scapegoats, someone to blame for the plague. This sometimes turned to anti-Semitism, with many people blaming the Jews poisoning the wells for the spread of epidemics. Occasionally this led to violent attacks on individuals who were blamed for spreading the plague. And sometimes the masters threw out their maids or apprentices when they got ill, leaving them to die on the streets alone and hungry. Take this opportunity then to pause the video, add to your storyboard this information, 3 or 4 bullet points minimum, and then draw a picture. A further local response to the early modern plagues was actually to stick together, quite the opposite of what we've just looked at. So while some communities became divided, many of them joined together to help one another, with few people abandoning all members of their families during this awful time. Elderly family members sometimes took in orphans from their own family or from their own community. And many who had died had very dignified funerals, and they were attended by many of their friends and family. Some people even carried food and ale to sick friends and neighbours to help them in their time of need. So take the opportunity to pause this video, add to your storyboard with 3 or 4 bullet points, and then draw a quick picture. Despite not making the connection between fleas and rats spreading the plagues, many people did try to seek a cure. For example, in the late 1500s, physicians, which are like early modern doctors, and apothecaries, which are places in which you can buy herbal remedies, became very, very popular in English towns. Those who needed to be treated and could afford to could be treated by these two groups of people or places. The people that were treating these people, the plague doctors as we might know them, wore heavy cloaks, hoods and leather beaks full of herbs to protect themselves from miasmas. And people bought tobacco products, which was, as we know, a new product in the early modern period due to trade and adventurers, to protect themselves from miasma. Herbal remedies could also actually ease the pain that they were going through. Pause this video, add to your storyboard with 3 or 4 bullet points and a picture. The final local population response was to turn to God or turn to religion, and in fact church attendance increased during the early modern period. The Catholic response of going on pilgrimage, which involved travelling across to places of religious significance, diminished, which was a good thing. And prayer, fasting and ensuring good behaviour so not to have sin became very popular too. Not necessarily a bad thing either, although this again shows this long-standing problem of a lack of understanding of what was causing disease. Take a moment then to pause the video, complete your storyboard, and I will tell you what to do next. Okay, so your storyboard should now be completed, and we are now looking for you to make a judgment about which of these 5 responses was the most effective. So in the top box, I want you to write a number from 1 to 5 to decide which response was the most effective in stopping the spread of the early modern plagues. 1 being great, 5 being poor. I've given running away a 3. Okay, well done. You have completed this video either for revision or for learning this for the first time. Well done. And I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. See you later.